This is For Advisors by Advisors. I'm your host, Evan J. Mayer, and today we have a very special guest, Mr. Brad Mehl. How you doing, Brad?
I'm well, you?
I'm doing awesome. So Brad is a CFP professional, a senior wealth advisor with the 1792 Group, and you are affiliated with Raymond James. Brad has been with Raymond James for about 4 years now. I think he joined just before I did, and started his career back a while ago. Merrill Lynch in 2001, made a few different moves to some different wirehouses, and made his happy home now at Ray J. You happy so far?
It's the happiest I've been in my career since I was a new FA with UBS back in '05, when I was excited about my potential and getting my first gig and having an opportunity to be an entrepreneur and grow my own book of business. So there was some in between, but it's definitely the happiest and most content I've been in quite some time.
Yeah, excellent. Roaring endorsement for Ray J. Anyway, I met Brad. I had just joined a super OSJ called Concurrent at the time and was with them for about 2.5 months, and they had some special trip out to San Diego. We were on a bus ride over. Long story short, we had a great time on the trip, and that was probably one of the more exciting times. And then I just ran into Brad at the Elevate conference 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's interesting. Brad, tell us a little bit about your history in the business, how you got started with Merrill and the different wirehouses and some of the in-betweens.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So it goes back to 1999. I was finishing my junior year in college, and my resume was not very strong at that point. I had the busboy, pool installer, landscaper, shoe salesman, right? The gamut of high-paying W-2 jobs for a college student. And I realized I needed some sort of experience, or at least I believed I needed some sort of experience in anything business-related with an economics degree. So I had a couple friends going out to San Diego for the summer. I went to school at Denison University in Ohio, and I had some friends going out to San Diego for the summer to take classes and really not much else. So I sent a few resumes and cover letters. My delusions of grandeur were the San Diego Padres and the San Diego Chargers at the time. And then I know one was Merrill Lynch, and I can't remember to this day if the other one was Bear Stearns, Lehman Brothers, or Smith Barney. Needless to say, I got a call from an advisor with Merrill Lynch in San Diego, and he said, I'm looking for someone to help me run seminars for 3 months, Memorial Day to Labor Day, unpaid, 8 to 1, 4 days a week. Can you do it? So I thought it'd be a great opportunity. I basically had to go back to my parents and look for some moral and financial support to have that opportunity to go out there. And needless to say, it was a fantastic experience. I actually worked really close with him, did a number of things with him and his clients, did not really help prepare for the seminars. He had other interns for that, but I basically left that summer ecstatic about the financial services industry. I parlayed that into a paid internship in Columbus, Ohio for Merrill Lynch during my senior year of school. So I then graduated college and was eventually hired by Merrill Lynch in Short Hills, New Jersey. About a year after I graduated, the tech bubble had put a hiring freeze and things like that. So I waited my turn, worked for Merrill Lynch for about a year, got licensed. Unfortunately, the manager that hired me retired. You had 9/11, and I read the writing on the wall that I was not going to become a producer at 22, 23 years old, and I needed to find something else to do in the business. So that's why if you looked at my resume, you have City Street, you have Dreyfus, and then eventually UBS is where I obtained my first production number as a financial advisor.
That was 2005, 2006, somewhere in there?
Yeah, October of '05 is when I got hired, and then my number was technically January of '06.
So you were at UBS, and then you went to Morgan Stanley, is that right? Or Citi, and then Morgan?
City was, went to Morgan from UBS. Technically Smith Barney. My partner and I left about 6 months after Morgan Stanley acquired Smith Barney, and we actually joined the Smith Barney side of it.
Okay.
We liked the manager. It was right around the corner from our other office in New York City, and it just seemed like the right spot for us.
Got it. Okay. And so you were in a partnership then. Are you still in a partnership now?
Not with that partner.
Okay.
So one of the great ways I got started in the business was I joined two gentlemen, Brett and Barry. Barry was the ninth inning of his career. Brett probably the third or fourth inning. Financial planning, fee-based asset management. Barry was a kind of old school commission-based advisor. They had teamed up, and I basically was the go-between, right? Brett didn't have enough hours in the day. I didn't have any clients. Barry didn't have any experience or desire to be a financial planner or fee-based asset management. So I served as the liaison between the two. And we had a lot of success converting a lot of Barry's clients from commission-driven to fee-based financial planning and preparing them for the next step when he eventually would retire, which he did that was probably 2008, 2009. And then about 6 months after he retired, Brett and I moved from UBS to Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, which is now a retired name.
You were there for how long?
I was at UBS for a little over 3. I was at Morgan Stanley for about 8.5 years.
Okay. And your partnership, as far as how long when did that partnership dissolve? Was that while you were there, or was that when you made the move?
Yeah, about 2 years after we left, things got a little on the fringe, right? The pipeline, we had left some stuff at UBS, some things we couldn't bring because of our retirement agreement.
Yep.
So had to start over from a pipeline and a growth aspect. I also have had a young family growing in New Jersey. I wanted to spend more time in New Jersey versus Manhattan, less time in the office, more time kind of crafting my own path versus his path. And you've seen it before in the business. Unfortunately, it was an amicable split, but we were going in two different directions at that point in time.
Yeah, it's never fun when you have to go through those splits. It's never like, oh, you deserve this and you deserve this. Here's a handshake and a hug and I'll see you later. You wish it was. I did notice that you use a software called Riskalyze. I saw that on your webpage. I'm a big Riskalyze user. I think they changed their name.
Nitrogen.
Nitrogen.
We got it yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it this morning, actually, and I was like, oh, interesting. And I guess they offer other services. And honestly, I never knew about those other services. It's probably good they did change their name because it probably made me, go and look and say there are other services. How do you use that with clients? What's your structure there? Do you have a structure in place, or is that used on everybody, or is it used once in a while, or?
So I use it sometimes with clients, right? Where it works best for me, because I use the financial planning software that we have access to, Money Guide Pro. And for most clients that are longtime clients, the Money Guide Pro asset allocation works just fine in the context of a long-term client. Where I found Riskalyze's true value add is prospects, because I will ask them to actually complete the questionnaire. I've tried to ask existing clients and like, Brad, are you kidding me? I've known you for 5 years. Why are you making me work? So I've stopped. I'll show them the number, right? But with prospects, I have them go through it. And then what I simply talk about mainly is, here's how you answered, and or here's how your spouse answered. Here's where you are. But ultimately, it's not that I don't care about any of that stuff, but then I show them where they actually need to be to complete their goals. Yep. And I know it sounds a little cliche, but I'm showing them 3 numbers, or sometimes 4 if it's both the husband and wife answer the question. But it's just giving them an idea of where are they in terms of volatility and how their portfolio will behave in various market environments. Now, that was really good about 5 years ago, but they've seen all those market environments with their existing portfolio in the last 3 and 4 years.
Yep.
So sometimes I will use it as a reminder, right? Remember when we went through this software? You saw exactly I say it all the time to clients, your money is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing or should be doing. It's just not doing what we want it to be doing right now in this particular market. And they're like, yeah, I know you said that, et cetera, et cetera. So it's an education process for me, or a re-education.
Yeah, it's a great tool. You're right. For existing clients, it wasn't something directly to send to them. I've done it with them. I say, hey, we have a new tool. I want to try this exercise with you, and go through the questions and answers with them just to get them on page. And then I tell them going forward, we need something on a yearly standpoint. And again, it's a baseline. It doesn't mean that we're going to use that number. It's just a baseline of where they're at, and utilizing Money Guide Pro and some of these financial planning softwares to go up with their true asset allocation of what they need is a whole different conversation anyway. But yeah, I do think it's a great software, and I saw it when I was doing my research on you. What are some niches? Some advisors believe in focusing on specific niches, either niche clients or niche ideas or concepts. Do you have any niches in your practice?
I don't at all. My book is, you could go through phases, right? And I could tell you how I've obtained certain pieces. My first portion was Barry's clients, right? So they were at or near retirement. Now they're in their late 80s. It goes fast, right? They're in the distribution phase, right? And then when I needed to grow, I joined local chambers. I joined a Business Networking International, if you've ever heard of BNI. I started networking with a few group health benefits folks. So that's how I got my 401k practice started, as a complement to the group health benefits. And then, so I have that various dynamic, and then COIs, kind of that mix that probably a lot of people have. But what I would say is, one of the great things about Ray J, and I'm not plugging Ray J, but Ray J, the difference between Ray J and the wirehouses I've been a part of have allowed you to be an entrepreneur. They truly do. So since I've been at Ray J, my now partner and I have acquired a retirement advisor, and it was a lot of 401k business, a lot of institutional business. So that's grown. But the best thing that happened to me when we came here is I was able to hire a marketing company to send out invitations to local people where I host a paid seminar. And I do that about twice a year. They only pay $50 to attend. It's a big difference between them paying the marketing company, not me, $50, versus me paying $200 a couple to attend a steak dinner. So much smaller audience, but it's 2.5 hour sessions in a local high school library. And what I found there is, my niche is the client dynamic. What I found is, from that seminar, I'm able to develop great relationships in 5 hours with, if 10 people attend, 2 or 3 that are okay with my presentation style. I'm somewhat sarcastic. I've learned to be me, and that works for 3 of them. It doesn't work for the other 3, and then I got to really sell the in-between. And what I found is, they're a great group of people. Where I'm in New Jersey, you have a lot of people that work in the city. You have a lot of people that work in the pharmaceutical industry. But bottom line, you have a lot of people that have lived here for 30 years. They put their kids through school. They have a lot of equity in their home. They've got a decent sized 401k. They've saved some money on the side. And they may or may not have an advisor, but they're, I'm going to use the term again, in the 9th inning. And they want validation from a CFP. That is what I've found has worked really well for me, is folks know they're near the distribution phase, and they need it validated before they take the package, get let go, retire, move. They know they're on pace, but they really want it stamped for approval. And that's been great for me.
Excellent. And you have a partner now. Are you guys 50-50 partners, just 2 of you?
So I technically have 3 partners. So one is Elise, is her name. So she's the one who we signed a successor agreement with. So I work a lot with her because I had the 401k background. And then I have Barry, who he came over with Bob and I from Morgan Stanley. He actually hired Bob into the business back in the mid 90s. So I work with him on a number of his clients. That's increasing, obviously, as he enters the later stages of his career. And then Bob and I are working closely with Elise's business and Barry's business, right? Together. And then we each have our own separate businesses.
Separate
So I
businesses.
would say,
What's your,
yeah, 50% of my business is run by me, 50 to 60%. And then the remainder is run by me, Bob, and those other parties.
what's your total AUM at this point between all the parties?
I'll say my portion is about 150 million.
Got it. And so let's talk a little bit about management of money. Do you manage on a discretionary or non-discretionary basis?
I am 90% fee based, and almost all of it is discretionary.
And do you run your
To
own
use the
models?
Raymond James
or
term.
Do you use
Yeah.
SMAs, or what do you do in your models?
My models are, so most of my money is in models. It's ETFs, individual stocks, mutual funds, some mutual funds for fixed income. I don't use a lot of actively managed equity mutual funds in taxable accounts. I do a little bit in IRAs and other qualified accounts.
Yep.
And then, but mostly, if I do stocks, it's from a research model. I'm not doing the individual research on the stocks.
Got it. And you've been in the business now 20 plus years. There's a lot of that next gen clients that are coming around. What's some good advice that you would give to the next generation of advisors as they're coming up?
Advice that I would give, I'm going to answer pre-next gen. So when I was an advisor in the city, I had a lot of folks from Denison that would look me up on LinkedIn and ping me and ask me for advice because they wanted to get into the business. And without fail, I'd always ask them, what's your working experience? And it was zero. And I would say, go wait tables for the summer, right? While you're interviewing for your gig, go wait tables. Go do something that is real hard work for little pay in the service industry, so you can learn and appreciate, right? I always say, I get to work in a building with air conditioning and heat, whereas I've had jobs where I'm digging a hole in the bottom of a pool where it's 100 degrees and miserable. So when I think things are tough here, and they get tough, I look back to those times where that was real work.
Yep.
And no money.
Makes you appreciate
it. So it helps me stay grounded 100%. So that's one. And then look, everybody told me when I got into the business, you should set a minimum, right? You should have a niche market. And I didn't have any of that, but now I do. And I just think you've got to go your own way and you've got to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. So be open to advice, work really hard. And then as you work hard, you learn to work smarter, right? Because you just, at 23 years old or 28, whenever someone gets started, even if you're working for a team or working with other people, your parents, your uncle, you got to go your own way and make your own mistakes, and don't be afraid to fail. And it's okay to open that small account, right? To realize that may not be the account that's right for you. So you've got to learn what the good fit is. And don't be afraid to say to people, I don't think it's a good fit. You'd be surprised what happens when you say that.
Yeah, I agree. And the account minimum thing, I always think that's a funny conversation to have. If you had a client that walked into your office that had $50,000 to invest today, but they're inheriting $3 million in 6 months, are you not going to take them on as a client, Brad?
I will 100% take them on. And to add to that, the amount of folks I've taken on before where they earn their first bonus, right? They're a banker or an attorney. They had their first real taste of success financially, and they might have a young family. So you write some insurance, you do a financial plan, you get them doing an automatic investment, and you get them started right. They become $1 million client within a few years, and it's locked in.
Yep.
It's locked in. So I'm a big believer in karma, and it's not, somebody said this on one of your podcasts I listened to, it's not all about the money. It's really not. Sometimes you have to make an investment in people, because there's been a lot of people in my life, whether it's coaches, teachers, colleagues that have invested time in me, and I believe in paying that back.
Yeah, 110%. And, I agree with you. People say niches. If a client comes to you with enough assets and enough interest in what you do and you can add value to them, then I throw half the niches out the door. What are some qualities you look at as far as like you see new advisors that are coming up or advisors that are looking into the business? What are like 2 or 3 qualities that you would say you need to have in this business?
I'll go back to the folks that hired me. Sweat equity, right? You got to be able to work hard and you've got to be persistent. You got to be willing to take no for an answer. And you don't necessarily need to be a straight A student, I think, to be an advisor. The straight A students go become investment bankers and CFAs. I always joke, hey, I was a 3.0 student because I like to play sports. I like to socialize. There were other things important to me other than getting the best grade. And I think that was a good match for this profession because you have to work with people. You have to empathize with people. You have to spend time on the people versus researching the stock or having your nose in a Morningstar report. That's the work, but the fun part of the job is working with people. I believe you have to be a people person and you've got to be willing to work hard and you have to be, I say this to my son, he's 13. He gets upset, right? And I always say, look, I don't know who invented it. Maybe Angela Duckworth said it. I think it's her, but you got to have grit. And that to me is the number one thing in what we do. It's probably the number one thing in parenting my children. It's hard sometimes. And you just can't give in. You can't give up. You got to continuously get better, right? Adjust, but you just got to keep moving forward.
And that segues me into my next question and last question for you. What's the future hold for you? Where are you in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? What's the anticipation? We're in this new AI world. I got shown a lot about AI, ChatGPT and how to use it and using it for emails and real interesting stuff. I still, at the end of the day, think our core competency is relationships and people. Where do you see yourself in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now?
All right. So 2 minutes to answer 3, 5, 10, and 20. Look, where I'm at right now, my conundrum right now, and my manager, Smith Barney, said this to me, right? He said to me, we were going through this transition, right? This breakup. And he goes, listen, the only thing you need to do right now is take care of your current clients, develop relationships with folks that aren't clients, and meet new people. That's just all you need to be doing. That was 10 years ago, 13 years ago. Now I see, and he said, listen, when you get to a certain production, you're going to have a whole new set of problems. And it's not problems. I look at it more as opportunities. And now my partner and I have this discussion of, I say, I need me 15 years ago. I need somebody to sit with me and clients and help take notes and offload some of the work. I need that associate attorney. And to your point, from a marketing standpoint, AI, in 3 years, I'd like to have a team that is working on a lot of the stuff that I can't get to, whether it's ChatGPT, doing, instead of 2 seminars a year, doing 1 a month, not necessarily me, but someone on my team in a different area. Just really growing this thing to a full-scale business, almost like an RIA. That's my goal for 3, 5, 10, 15, 20. And when I got into the business, I said I was going to retire by 60. And I heard on one of your podcasts, the average age of an advisor is 62, something of that nature. And I've changed my tune, probably because I'm happy in what I do today. And I see some of my clients, right, when they retire, if they don't have something going on, they slow down. And I'm passionate about what I do now, probably for the first time since I got started. And I would love to just be able to continue to do this, maybe bring my kids into the business and work with 5, 10, 15, 20 clients, and then help my kids or juniors, right, whoever, the good people, grow into the business. And I'm saying this today, I'm 45. I feel like I could do it forever. That might change when I'm 65 or 70. But I feel like you said, it is a relationship business. I think AI can help us. I think all this great technology, Riskalyze, I'm using Holistiplan now, can help me add value to clients. So as long as I can do that, I want to keep growing it and I want to keep my existing clients happy.
It's interesting too, because, I'm your age, roughly have the kids the same age, and you get to that level of success and growth, and especially when you go independent, where you don't feel the same strain that you might have felt at some of the wirehouses or bankside, where you just don't have those stressors anymore. And it's more about managing your clients and your relationships. And so it becomes fun again to start growing. And it's almost like a second stage of being a financial advisor is once you make that independent channel, hopefully you do that young enough, you start feeling alive again.
It is a little bit of a second win, right? I joke, it's been easier to grow coaching little league and tackle football with my kids than it was changing diapers and commuting to the city.
Yep.
So it just seems to be like it's actually fun now, right? Not every day is fun, right? Bear markets aren't fun, rising interest rates, but all in all, communicating with the clients and educating clients and preparing them for this type of thing, I guess maybe I'm just better at it today than I was 10, 15 years ago. And that takes time.
Yep, 100%. And I had heard from another advisor. He said, the more you fail, the more you'll succeed, because you get to experience those times and get better from them. And newer advisors, unfortunately, haven't had those experiences yet of bear markets or wars or pandemics, or even the new advisors that are starting out like now. And you go, pandemic, there was a few months there, things didn't feel great. Felt 08 all over again, maybe worse. Brad, it was awesome to have you on. There are a lot of advisors that listen to the show. If anybody has a question, how can they reach out to you?
You could always Google me. I think I'm on the first page. My cell is 908-303-9197. My email is brad.mehl, M-E-H-L, at 1792 wealthadvisors with an O.com.
Awesome. And I think you're on LinkedIn too.
Definitely on LinkedIn.
Excellent. So Brad, thanks
for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. For those advisors out there, if you like the show, please subscribe. I hope you enjoyed it. We did take a little hiatus, and we just came back with our first podcast recording today, actually got released, and look forward to doing a few more here in the recent weeks. Take care.